Hey, check that out.
After 3 disappointing seasons at Boise State, I was going into my 4th and final year. I wasn't able to lead my team to a Mountain West championship for the past 2 seasons, even though I was able to do it as a true freshman. And so I went into this season with a new mentality and a new number. I wasn't number 1 just because I thought we were going to finish first in the Mountain West. I had the audacity to think that we would finish first in the country. And after my favorite target hopper graduated, I had to make sure that we would get everyone on the offense involved. I'm talking everybody. Even the second string running back was catching touchdown passes in this one. My stats last season weren't all that terrible, but untimely interceptions and turnovers were the downfall of our season. I mean, there's pros and cons to having a gunslinger at quarterback. There's going to be some great plays and then there's going to be some questionable ones. But I swear to God, if we lose the first game of the season to the Raging Cajuns, I might just hang it up after this one. I tried to turn water into wine on this 3rd and 21, and instead of just sliding, I would get hurt. This was a common theme throughout my entire career, but I know if we want to be successful, I can't afford to miss any time at all. Thankfully, the defense held it down and we were able to escape this game 1-0. Washington State's defense couldn't have been stiffer even if they took one of them gas station pills. I mean, this was truly a series of unfortunate events because after I would throw this interception and they would tie the game up, we would drive all the way down into their territory and the Zebra crew would somehow call this a fumble and not an incompletion. But just as quickly we lost the lead, I would tie it right back up before the half. Struggling against teams like Washington State and last week Louisiana Lafayette definitely wasn't the way that I envisioned this season going. And just as it looked like we turned things around in the 3rd quarter, I would throw this pick 6 that would tie the game back up. By the 4th quarter, we were down by a touchdown again, and it looked like the season was going to be over after the running back dropped it here and almost got intercepted. I would throw this ballsy pass in the back of the end zone that would get caught for the touchdown to tie, and with less than a minute left, would throw the go-ahead touchdown. My 6th touchdown pass of the game, and it was up to the defense now to step up, and that's exactly what our safety would do here to end this one. There was absolutely no way we can continue to play like this and expect to run the table. Holy shit. I had Dumb and Dumber out at receiver as they would run into each other on this 4th down, and after going down quickly again, I will put the ball in my hands. Pause. I understood that I couldn't just do everything myself, so I had to continue to trust my receivers. Davis number 27 was always one of those receivers on my team that I can count on. We were slowly gaining confidence as an offense, and by the end of the 2nd quarter, I did some Patrick Mahomes shit and threw it completely across the field. Now, Houston wasn't a superpowered team or anything, but getting this dub under our belt was going to be huge for the team we had to play next. My biggest rival, who we had played for the Mountain West Championship already twice in my career. But after San Jose State lost their Heisman winning quarterback, they just weren't the same team, at least not offensively, because defense, they were still bringing the boomstick. But truth be told, I hated these dudes and I wanted to run the score up as much as we could. We were already a top 10 team at this point, so we wanted to continue to prove the voters right, and doing that against one of the teams that have been the best in our conference year in and year out was humongous. And we would handle business in our first Mountain West game of the season and finally beat San Jose State again. This BYU corner hit me harder than a Mike Tyson uppercut. I actually got knocked out for the rest of the half and had to watch our offense struggle from the sideline, but when I came back, I was on a mission.
Watch this.
I threw a perfect dart through the middle of this defense for one of the longest touchdowns of this season. Now, BYU was a team full of Mormons, but you know they saw the Holy Spirit when they were facing me, and I couldn't believe that I would tiptoe the sideline this perfectly all the way for a 40-yard touchdown. Our defense had been playing amazing as of late, and they shut BYU's offense down the entire 2nd half. And if I was dotting up passes like this one, there wasn't a single team in the country that was going to be able to beat us, you know, except for maybe Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. Could probably continue the list for a while, but do y'all remember UNLV last season? They would upset us last season when they were 0-8 and we were 8-0, and apparently they used that momentum to start this season off 5-1. They really turned it around, and it was no surprise they had the blueprints of beating us.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over them mountains?
But this ain't last season and I'm not number 13 anymore. But every single time it looked like we were going to pull away from UNLV and have a blowout on our hands, they would somehow get back in the game and they would throw this touchdown pass in the 3rd quarter to bring it back to 4. But just like I said, anytime we would try and pull away from UNLV in this game, something strange would happen. Capels would catch that last touchdown, but when he caught this pass would get obliterated and UNLV would find themselves within 3. And I cannot believe I threw this sorry ass interception in the 4th quarter and UNLV UNLV was up now. The game was almost over on this play right here, but just because it was up, it wasn't stuck. I found our receiver wide open for the game-winning touchdown. I'm not gonna lie, I feel bad for Air Force. This team is not supposed to be on the field with us. Even though almost every single game prior to this has been competitive, we were now the number 2 team in the country and we had to keep up appearances. Being the number 2 team in the country meant that if we won out, we controlled our destiny to the national title game.
Watch this.
And with us putting up 35 points in the first half, the only way Air Force was going to be competitive in this one is if they sent a stealth bomber and slumped us. But we took care of business against them, and we had to turn our attention to Wyoming, who was a much better team and always played us tough, especially considering we were now at their place. Even though we went up 24-7 in the first half, things started to go downhill from there. I would get hit on this play, and even though it didn't get intercepted, I tweaked my Achilles and that shit was killing me. The Wyoming defense could smell blood in the water, and they started coming after me hard. I was clearly flustered because I was overthrowing wide open receivers, something that I never do. But thankfully I'd find my groove again, and this touchdown late in the third quarter would basically put this one away. And just like last season, we would start 8-0, and hopefully shit doesn't go left from here. This fat ass Colorado State defensive lineman would land on me and get me knocked out the game. Thankfully though, this was a sorry ass team and they were 2-7 for a reason. Our offense without me was still doing good, and once I came in, we were doing what you would expect. But damn! How the hell am I going to get hurt again? But thankfully this wasn't a team like San Jose State, and I can never understand how other teams get these bullshit ass interceptions against us. And we were geeked to play at Hawaii till we found out it was pouring rain. That 9-hour flight to Hawaii definitely had to start off on the wrong foot, but we quickly started putting it on Hawaii in the first quarter, and you know it was going to continue throughout the rest of this game. Shit, that wasn't until I set my receiver up and got him hospitalized going over the middle, and I can't believe they intercepted it too. But what they be saying in Hawaii? Hakuna Matata? Oh nah, that's Lion King, never mind. It's Ohana. And Ohana mean I'ma beat that ass. We went crazy on them boys, and I was confused seeing Boise State fans in the crowd. That meant they either travel from Idaho or they just live in Hawaii. And why the hell are you a Boise State fan in Hawaii? What are you doing? There's 3 things guaranteed in this life: death, taxes, and beating the brakes off a sorry ass team. But let's not forget, New Mexico definitely did beat our ass last season, but that was after we already lost to UNLV and we just felt defeated. Ain't no way in hell I was gonna let that shit slide this year, and I thought I was gonna crib this one all the way. Even though I didn't, I was still able to score on that drive and just kept scoring. I would put this touchdown on the ground, and just about a minute later I was able to put another one on the board through the air. We would go up by 31 in the first half on these boys, but we had to get ready for our regular season finale against an actually decent team in Utah State. They were 7-4, and now that we were the number 1 team in the country, they wanted to knock us off. They took an early 7-0 lead into this one, but we were able to tie it up in the first quarter. And with the game still tied at 7 in the second quarter, I gave the ball to my fullback in the flat and let him just bulldoze over dudes for the touchdown. I would throw a beautiful strike down the middle of the field, but unfortunately we wouldn't be able to score on this drive and had to settle for a field goal. This gave Utah State some hope. We would quickly squash their dreams though, and we understood that if we won the conference championship, we were going to face either Florida or Texas A&M. One way or another, the winner of the SEC championship was going to be in the national title game, but we needed to handle business against 10-win San Diego State to get there ourselves. I didn't want to say that we were overlooking San Diego State as a team, but we were just playing at a different level at this point of the season. After beating San Jose State earlier in the season, we kind of figured that there was no other teams in the conference that were going to be capable of beating us, but this was something that I couldn't do in the national title game. That was a fort to get hurt, especially against a team like Texas A&M or Florida. And seeing how our offense struggled with me on the bench, it was even more evident. That injury was definitely making me feel a little crazy because I was throwing it like a bum. It would get intercepted by San Diego State and they would end up getting some points out of it, but by the fourth quarter, we already had this game pretty much on lock. And this was the game-defining drive when we would go down and put another touchdown on the board, securing our place in the national championship game, something that I thought was damn near impossible going into the season. We hadn't won the Mountain West since my freshman season, and to cap it all off, I won a number of awards: the Heisman, the Maxwell, the Walter Camp, the Davey O'Brien. We went into the national championship heavy underdogs against Texas A&M. Even Lee Corso had them winning, and it was clear from the beginning of this game their defense was on a different level. I mean, this was SEC football. I had to move out of the pocket as much as I could to even give myself a chance to throw it, but almost got my receiver murdered. And even when we finally did get into the red zone, their defense was just relentless. I'm not sure how I did it, but I found my receiver on this 3rd and 15, and he was actually able to bring it all the way for the touchdown. Believe it or not, our kicker would miss his first extra point of the season, so it was just a 3-point game here, and this is when I started to fall apart. Their defense was confusing the shit out of me, and they were really doing the most to our receivers. I'm talking about murder on my mind by Melly. They were headhunting, and when they weren't headhunting, they were ball hawking, and they would get another interception. And if I was the best quarterback in the league, Texas A&M's QB was the second best. He finished second in the Heisman voting and was a much more efficient passer than me. Just before the half though, we needed this momentum and we would score the touchdown with just 2 seconds left. But that momentum ain't do shit because I would come back in the second half and throw an interception right away. Texas A&M would obviously capitalize on it. Thankfully it was only a field goal, but I saw my entire season starting to slip away after this interception in the 3rd quarter, and this time they weren't settling for field goals. But I would catch Texas A&M's D lineman off sides and would take a chance down the field for my favorite receiver, Davis. He would end up making the incredible catch, and we would end up being able to score a touchdown to bring it within 7. Our defense did its thing, and we were able to get this game tied up in the 4th quarter. After drilling a 52-yarder earlier in the game, Texas A&M's kicker would boink this one off the upright, and our offense saw hope and started to get to work. I made sure that I didn't make any terrible decisions and was just taking what the defense was giving me. We would go ahead and center the ball for our kicker on this run, and our kicker would drill it for the game. I guess Uncle Rico was right all along. If coach had just put me in the 4th quarter of the state championship game, we would have won. If you enjoyed this series and got this far, please show some love and subscribe. Whose career should I do next?
Coach would have put me in 4th quarter. We'd have been state champions, no doubt. No doubt in my mind. You better believe things would have been different. I'd have gone pro. I'd be making millions of dollars and living in a big old mansion somewhere.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
Napoleon, like anyone can even know that.
You know what, Napoleon? You can leave.